Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to Right is Right, where everything we say is 100% verifiable, fact-checkly true. That's right, I just made up a new word, fact-checkly. Anyway, everybody, let's get into this video, and today we're going to talk more about Dominion voting systems. Dominion was created with one purpose in mind, and that was to rig the elections, to change votes from one candidate to the other one. Whoever is the one in charge is the one that wins. And as Sidney Powell brings out on Lou Dobbs, yet again, this was used several times. And I'm going to show you all in this video where Smartmatic or Dominion was used to change the elections in other countries, especially Venezuela. And I think the people of Venezuela are probably not going to be very happy when they learn about what happened to their country and why it happened. Now, the clip is a little long of Sidney Powell talking to Lou Dobbs, so I'm just going to show you all the most important points that she makes. And when you all hear what Sidney Powell has to say, it's going to infuriate you all, because they've been using this corrupt software, this corrupt company, Dominion, to meddle in other countries' elections as well. They haven't just robbed our elections, they've robbed other countries' elections also.
Now, documents show that Dominion Voting Systems submitted a bid to the city of Philadelphia in 2018 to be considered as their contractor for voting machines. Those same documents reveal very little about the company's foreign connections. When asked by the city to list any foreign ownership or investors in either the parent company and/or its subsidiaries, Dominion had something to say, but nothing to show. The section you see there on your screen is entirely redacted, blacked out.
I wonder why they didn't want to show their foreign connections. Well, I think all of us know why. Because they had a lot of foreign connections that wanted to see major changes to the United States because they hate Trump. Trump is their number one enemy because he is America first. And they don't want that.
Because Dominion ultimately was denied the contract. In just 3 months before Dominion's bid, President Trump signed an executive order against foreign interference in our elections. In that order, President Trump wrote, quote, "The assessment shall identify to the maximum extent ascertainable the nature of any foreign interference and any methods employed to execute it, the persons involved, and the foreign government or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. The Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President."
And this is the reason they redacted all of their foreign connections. It's because they knew that Donald Trump was not going to be playing around with allowing foreign nations to interfere with our elections. And I have no doubt that their foreign connections were all invested very deeply in getting Donald Trump out of office.
The question is, was the president ever informed of this attempted bid by a company with foreign ties? And why are they being so secretive? Joining us now by phone, Sidney Powell.
Oh, definitely, Lou. I've just gotten some stunning evidence from a first-hand witness, a high-ranking military officer who was present when Smartmatic was designed in a way that and I'm going to just read you some of these statements, if you don't mind, so I get them exactly right from the affidavit. Designed in a way that the system could change the vote of each voter without being detected. He wanted the software itself to function in such a manner that if the voter were to place their thumbprint or fingerprint on a scanner, then the thumbprint would be tied to a record of the voter's name and identity as having voted, but that voter would not be tracked to the changed vote.
So what that basically means, everybody, is that if you voted for Trump, it may show that you voted for Trump, but in reality, it's very possible that your vote actually went to Biden.
He made it clear that the system would have to be set up but not leave any evidence of the changed vote for a specific voter, and that there would be no evidence to show and nothing to contradict that the name or the fingerprint or thumbprint was going with a changed vote. Smartmatic agreed to create such a system and produce the software and hardware that accomplished the result for President Chavez. After the Smartmatic electoral management system was put in place, he closely observed several elections where the results were manipulated using the Smartmatic software. One such election was December 2006 when Chavez was running against Rosales. Chavez won with a landslide over Rosales, a margin of nearly 6 million votes for Chavez versus 3.7 million for Rosales. In 2013, he witnessed another Venezuelan national election where the Smartmatic management system was used to manipulate and change the results for Chavez. And it goes on and on. He was in the control room where multiple digital display screens were shown for results and voting. The actual voting results were fed into that room and onto the displays over an internet feed, which was connected to a sophisticated computer system created by Smartmatic. People in that room were able to see in real time whether the vote that came through the electronic voting system was in their favor or against them. If one looked at any particular screen, they could determine that the vote from any specific area or as a national total was going to be against either candidate. Persons controlling the vote tabulation computer had the ability to change the reporting of votes by moving votes from one candidate to another by using the Smartmatic software.
And another thing to add, everybody, is that Pete Neffinger, one of the members of Biden's transition team, is the chairman of Smartmatic. There are so many coincidental connections that I don't think anyone that looks at this story as a whole, the whole story, can come away with the conclusion that this was not an orchestrated, rigged election.
So here's the other kicker. When the Smartmatic machines are, when somebody's losing, like, for example, when Maduro and his supporters realized the size of the other guy's lead, they were worried that they were in crisis mode and would lose the election. The Smartmatic machines used for voting in each state were connected to the Internet, reported their information over the Internet to the Caracas Control Center real time, so the decision was made to reset the entire system. Maduro's and his supporters ordered the network controllers to take the Internet itself offline in practically all parts in Venezuela to change the results. It took the voting operators approximately 2 hours to make the adjustments in the vote from Radonsky to Maduro. Then when they turned the Internet back on and the online reporting was up and running again, they checked each screen state by state to be certain they could see each vote was changed in favor of Maduro.
So they had to shut it all down so they had time to switch the votes. Does that sound familiar?
This affidavit also explains it's been used to change election results all over the world.
When I heard what she just said, I was really curious to know about other instances, other cases of Smartmatic being used in the elections and them manipulating the results, changing the election. So I looked into it, and wow, what I found is eye-popping. Here are just some of the examples of where Smartmatic was used in elections and where the people believed the elections were tampered with and the election was rigged. Let's start with the very founding of Smartmatic. It started in 1997 and it was created by 3 engineers, Antonio Mujica, Alfredo Jose Anzola, and Roger Peñate. And they began collaborating in a group while working at Pena Group Corp in Caracas, Venezuela. So there, it shows it started in Caracas, Venezuela. Remember that. Now let's move on to 2012 for the Venezuelan presidential election. Out of 18,900,000 citizens registered to vote in the presidential elections, voter turnout was around 81%. Both record figures in Venezuelan electoral history. Doesn't that sound familiar too? Wisconsin, Michigan, some of these places that had record turnout to a ridiculous degree. They had more votes than there were people. And somehow Joe Biden comes up with 78 million votes. 12 million more than Barack Obama. Oh no, that's not suspicious at all. From a man that had almost no support or enthusiasm for him. He had rallies that almost no one showed up to. But yet, he outperforms Barack Obama by 12 million votes? Moving on to Estonia now in 2014. It says Smartmatic and Cybernetica, the Estonian IT lab that built the original internet voting system used in the country, they used this for the elections, of course. And it says that some experts have warned that Estonia's online voting system might be vulnerable to hacking. Yeah, duh. It also says that J. Alex Halderman, an associate professor at the University of Michigan, described as being harshly critical of electronic voting systems around the world. They reviewed the voting systems, and they said it was horrible. It says the iVoting system has serious architectural limitations and procedural gaps that potentially jeopardize the integrity of elections. And remember, the iVoting system is working in conjunction with Smartmatic. Moving on yet again to show more fraud from this corrupt voting system from Smartmatic. In 2017, at the Venezuelan Constituent Assembly election, there's a quote, "We know without a doubt that the result of the recent elections for a National Constituent Assembly were manipulated. We estimate that the difference between actual and announced participation by the authorities is at least 1 million votes." So this means what they said was a total lie. It was off by 1 million votes. And I'm sure that the 1 million votes that it was off by went to a specific candidate that they wanted to win. It goes on, only 3,700,000 votes were cast 30 minutes before polls were expected to close, though polls were open for an additional hour. So it was another vote dump, just like we saw here in the United States. This system is such trash and so obvious for manipulation to swing total elections that even the New York Times, the trash liberal paper, the New York Times, says the role of the young Venezuelan engineers who founded Smartmatic, notice that, Venezuela engineers who founded Smartmatic has become less visible, and that its organization is an elaborate web of offshore companies and foreign trusts. Its roots are firmly anchored in Venezuela. Multiple sources simply state that Smartmatic is a Venezuelan company. Now, you all are probably wondering, why do I keep on bringing up that it's a Venezuelan company? I'm going to show you all in just a moment. Let's continue. Moving on to another case of fraud by Smartmatic in the Philippines. It says that Smartmatic has been criticized by various entities for its motives. Notice that word, motives, and handling of elections in the Philippines. We all know their motives. The Manila Times has stated that Smartmatic's system was unreliable, glitchy, and vulnerable to tampering. Vulnerable to tampering or hacking, however you want to put it. And that says that Smartmatic had been funneling voter information through unofficial servers. It sounds a lot like what happened here, with our votes being funneled through not only Venezuela, Spain, and Germany. It goes on to say that SD cards are used and that at least one SD card was tampered with, allegedly showing that Smartmatic's system was very much open to hijacking or sabotage. And do you all remember that there were a lot of these technicians, these Dominion technicians that showed up the night before the elections to download some more information? Very suspicious. It also says it's not as difficult to hack into the system if you're a Comelec or a group of Comelec or Smartmatic personnel. Comelec was another one of the companies that was working there in the Philippines that was working along Smartmatic. It appears that the elections were rigged in the Philippines just like they were here in our elections. And speaking of our election, let's take a look at what Wikipedia says about the 2020 election. Smartmatic was the subject of a hoax in the aftermath of the 2020 United States presidential election. Who wrote this crap? Seriously, after all this stuff I just showed you on the same website, the same page, all the cases of fraud, hacking, tampering, manipulation, they actually are retarded enough to write this is a hoax. The morons that wrote that must not have read any of the other cases of fraud and tampering. They're on the same exact web page. Not website, the same web page. Continuing, it says notably promoted by the personal attorney to President Donald Trump. Rudy Giuliani, who falsely asserted the company was founded by the former socialist Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez, and that it owned and provided software to a company that is actually a competitor, Dominion Voting Systems. Guys, this is the reason why I highlighted Venezuela so much, because Smartmatic is from Venezuela. Rudy does say that it was created by Hugo Chavez. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. He didn't become president until 1999 in Venezuela, and Smartmatic was founded in 1997. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he did not have a hand in creating it, because it says that Chavez was a leader of the Fifth Republic movement, a political party, from its foundation in 1997, the same year that Smartmatic was created. And even if he didn't have a hand in creating it, I can guarantee you all he definitely had a hand on it when they had their elections in 2012. I'm sure he took it over by then. And you all can see the proof of that in this very article on Wikipedia. They manipulated their results and he won again. And so did Maduro. Same thing. Now, guys, let's go back to the last part of the clip we have with Sidney Powell talking to Lou Dobbs.
And it's all Venezuelan and Cuban and essentially communist money that's been doing this.
Yeah, of course it's been communist money. Our biggest enemies are communists. And guess who just so happens to be very closely related to communism? That's right, the Democratic Party. As we've all seen and we've talked about on this channel, they're going further left every single year. It's getting to the point where Bernie Sanders is going to be left behind. That's how crazy and far left they're getting. And you know, another thing is I used to think really poorly of Venezuela. I used to think those people are so stupid. But you know what? They're getting what they deserve. They voted for communism and this is what they got now. But wow, what she just said changes everything. There's a very good chance that the people of Venezuela never would have gone to communism if it wasn't for this lying, cheating, corrupt software and the people that are behind it, like Pete Neffinger, who is on Biden's transition team, which should tell you all that you need to know about these people. I think most Americans know now that the ruling elite have nothing good in mind for us. They don't. They're only about themselves. They're only about putting themselves up above everyone else and turning us into cheap labor. And this election proves more to us every single day. These people have zero respect for the U.S. Constitution and the process of electing a president. No respect at all. All they care about is that they're the ones in charge. They're the ones that tell us what to do. Because like we've already heard with Biden, he's going to be throwing in another lockdown the moment that he is in charge. It's all about control. And everybody, I know that this is really hard to listen to and read and see. It makes us so upset to watch this. But here's the white pill to all of this. They exposed themselves terribly because Donald Trump is the most beloved president in the history of the United States, and he had more votes coming in for him than any president ever. He topped himself in 2016. They didn't expect that at all, and they exposed themselves, and now everybody knows they're all a bunch of liars. And we've got Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood, and they're not going to stop until they expose it all. Like Sidney said, she's releasing the Kraken. And I think this is a bombshell, what she just talked about. They have a top intel person exposing everything that Smartmatic and Dominion is about. Now, some of you all might be a little bit discouraged because nothing major has dropped recently. I do think that this is pretty major, personally. But remember, Donald Trump is too smart to show his hand right now. He's not going to show them what he has. Not like those morons did November 3rd. They showed their hand horribly. They're idiots. They're terrible poker players. What benefit would it be to Donald Trump to tell them what he has on them until they go to court? Why would he do that? So that they have time to plan around, make up excuses and to plan to fight back? No. He's not going to do that. And no good lawyer would. His lawyers are too smart. So that's why we have to have patience. I think they have something. I think they're going to show something. He's going to put up a fight. And I do believe that he will get 4 more years. And with what Sidney Powell said, that, my friends, I personally think is the Kraken. She just released the Kraken on these fools because for her to tell us that this has been used in several countries to change their elections completely. This is going to put a lot of people in some major trouble. Major trouble. Not only with the United States, but with the nations around the world. Anyways, guys, that will do it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed watching it. If you could, please do share it with your family and friends, because we all know that YouTube's probably going to censor or flag this video, age restrict it maybe like they did a couple of videos ago for no reason. So please do share with as many people as you possibly can. Do like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, hit the bell button if you are so that you get all the videos that I upload. And with that said, everybody, I hope you all have a wonderful week. So take care and stay safe.